Looking for a grind to pass some time before 7.0? Looking for one of the best mounts in the game? Here, we'll neatly package those two things together with the Landerwaffe Dragon Mount. Waffle Dragon. To access the required quest, the Dragon Maid, in the locks, you'll need to have first grinded out the mounts from each of the level 80 Shadowbringers Extreme Trials. Do not let the challenge of Extreme Trials put you off though, assuming you're level 90 and in current tier gear, item level 640 plus, then these fights now range from complete steamroll to just having a few mechanics to be aware of going in. There are regular PF parties looking to mount farm these, which in my experience were all very patient and chill, with newbies learning as they go. Likely as there are a few occasions that one player can wipe the whole party. In this vid, I will highlight the key mechanics only to understand going into each fight. I will not cover off every mechanic, as most you can now get hit by multiple times without dying, and even if you die, you won't wipe the group. The assumption is that you're in a full party of level 90 players in current tier gear, which you'll find pretty standard at this point in the party finder. If you're the lead, make sure you tick undersized party in the duty finder settings to go in unsynced. Stamps for each fight below if you're looking for a particular instance. Let's get started. The Dancing Plauge Extreme. Complete steamroll, best route is 7 DPS and 1 tank, and you'll have her down before the ads phase. Only mechanic of note that you're likely to see are these tethers, which can be swapped between players, just avoid any one player getting hit by it more than twice. The Crown of the Immaculate Extreme. Steamroll again, take 1 tank and 7 DPS and it will go down like a sack of spuds. If you get this tether, run it to the edge to avoid it going off through the players in the centre, as that can be pretty annoying, but otherwise little to stress about. Hades'Elegy. Recommended 2 tanks, 1 heal and 5 DPS. The 2 tanks are a must. Phase 1, just burn it down. Into the ad phase, 2 circles/towers will appear, 1 north, 1 south. These will rotate as they go off in succession. Each tank must take 1 and keep rotating till all are soaked. Second ad set, be mindful to attack the ad with the opposite colour orbs to your buff. Final supersize ad, stay stacked under the boss and burn as quickly as possible. Depending on your damage, your DPS might get punted off the arena, but raise them and carry on. Phase 3, same north-south towers for tanks to soak and then burn away. Cinder Drift Extreme. Another complete steamroll, viable with 1 tank and 7 DPS. But take 1 healer if unsure for Heliclaw, or at least a couple of casters with razors. Phase 1, Helioclaw. Try your best to avoid the large AoEs which path out along each of the spiraled lines, dodging between the spirals. Complicating things, there will also be line AoEs to bait before you dodge, so stand away from where you plan to dodge into until you see the line AoEs appear. Don't worry, this mechanic takes a fair bit of practice to master, but at this point you can get hit 2 or 3 times at least without dying while you learn. Phase 2. When the ads appear, attack the one which is the opposite colour to your debuff. Ensure you quickly run to the side of the arena that your ad starts on, as the ads cannot be allowed to get close together. The Seat of Sacrifice. Possibly the fight with the most to be aware of going in. Expect deaths, but pick people up along the way and you'll be fine. Noting order of mechanics after the initial set can vary, especially with different rates of DPS. For the smoothest ride, I recommend a standard 4 DPS, 2 heal, 2 tank party. You can go 1 tank, 1 healer and 6 DPS, but you will normally have to res some people early on, possibly quicker overall. Before starting, determine 2 players, ideally 1 DPS and 1 support, for each corner of the map. Ensure everyone is clear on these positions. Terror Unleashed. Drops everyone to 1 MP. Healers must get everyone up to max. Imbued Sabre/Imbued Coruscants. A few mechanics stacking will all go off at once after the Coruscants cast. Doesn't matter if you don't get it exact, but try to A. Spread loosely around the boss, as one element is a clock style spread mechanic, and pay attention to either a fire or ice effect during the second imbued cast. Ice means keep moving around like a lunatic, and fire means stay still and stop attacking. First limit break. For this, the boss will always have full 3 limit break bars. With full 3 bars, go to your predetermined corner as soon as you see the boss's limit break cast. Failing to do this will wipe you and others. If you learn one mechanic only, make sure it's this one. This is where a couple of players will potentially still die without the standard party composition. Swords of Light. Lines will carve out parts of the arena which will subsequently explode. Identify the one side of the arena which doesn't have a line drawn across the edge and move to either side of the triangle point on that side. Ad phase. Take the ads to the opposite sides of the arena, prevent them tethering and burn them down. Note, if DPS is a little slow, ensure the towers are soaked by 2 players each, as failing this you'll get an annoying debuff which means you'll attack for 0 for a period of time, slowing you down. 4-bar limit break. Ensure the tank uses their limit break as soon as the boss's limit gauge finishes filling. In a smooth run, the boss could be dead shortly after, but a couple of other mechanics to be aware of. Solemn Confitador cast with a large water spray at the side of the arena. Run close to the water spray and spread out, as it's a large knockback. This, in theory, should be done in pairs, as there will be 4 stack markers at the time of the knockback, but at this stage can be taken solo as long as you don't get hit by 2 stack markers. Lastly, where 4 players get these spread markers, usually all DPS if alive, each should go to their same corner as in Limit Break 3 to drop a growing puddle, as you don't want these to overlap with each other. Castrum Marinum Extreme. Recommended 1 tank, 1 heal and 6 DPS. The worst mechanic is one of the first. Ethioplasm production. 8 orbs to soak in pairs. Before the fight, pick pairs to position north, east, south and west. You can head to your spots even before the fight starts. In your pairs, first absorb the orb at your starting cardinal. Then rotate to absorb the orb of the opposing colour, which could be clockwise or counterclockwise. The complication is that sometimes you appear to have the option of either clockwise or counterclockwise, but only one will be correct. You can either look to which direction the other player pairs need to rotate, or more simply, identify the colour of the northwest orb. If it is yellow, then everyone rotates counterclockwise. If it is blue, then everyone rotates clockwise. Phase 2. Primus Terminus Est. Idea here is for arrow players to position, not to be knocked back into each other while avoiding the middle of the arena. Non-arrow players stack in the centre under the boss. You'll essentially be flung across the arena in the direction of your arrow. This diagram essentially shows the correct resolution, so be ready to view the direction of your arrow and position accordingly. Sprint is very helpful here. Tertius Terminus Est. This is confusing as hell on first, and let's be honest, 10th playthrough, but thankfully with today's gear, you can soak 2 out of 3 hits without dying. Be alert to look at the order of the puddles. The aim is to stand near the 3rd puddles to drop and then scoot to the 1st after they explode. You need to pay particular attention after the first swords drop to the lines which indicate the directions that they'll explode in. This will inform where exactly to position near the 3rd to avoid the blast from the 1st. Don't overly stress though. If you're struggling, just accept being hit by 1, which you'll easily survive, rather than running around like a headless chicken and being hit by all 3. Black Wolf Ad Phase. Stand in front of the air mech adjacent to the one with the 1 ball, ideally the one with 4 balls. Move into the 1 ball lane after the explosions in that lane hit the floor. Post this mechanic, stack near the X to be knocked back into a corner. Finally, Diamond Weapon. 1 tank, 1 heal and 6 DPS. All players remain together, i.e. don't split onto separate platforms. Adamant Purge. Boss will show its vents/claws on one side, which will be deadly. Everyone teleport to the opposite side to the claws. At the same time, the boss will light up either its large stomach cannon or its shoulder missiles. If stomach cannon, all stack together. If shoulder missiles, all spread once on the safe side. Really, once the group can do that mechanic with no deaths, and with 6 DPS, the boss melts before the later boss transformation, and thus that's basically all you need to know in this fight. Just in case you hit the initial part of the transition though, if you get a pre-stretched tether, position to be knocked along your existing platform. But if you have an unstretched tether like here, position to be knocked to the other platform. And that's it, all the fights tackled. You'll want to hope the rays of good fortune shine down on you for those loot rolls, but as insurance you will get unique tokens per fight, 99 of which will enable you to buy said fight's mount. The mounts from the Dancing Plague, Crown of the Immaculate, Hades and the Seat of Sacrifice can be exchanged with Fethard in Yulmore, with the remaining 3 from Ruby, Emerald and Diamond Weapon traded with Satana in Mordona. You'll get 1 token from most fights, but 2 for each clear of Hades and, amazingly, Diamond Weapon given how quick it is now. All done. It would massively help if you'd be so kind to like and subscribe to complete the duty.